All right, let's talk about quitting smoking. If you've ever tried, you probably think you know the deal. It's all about gritting your teeth, fighting off cravings, and just pure raw willpower. But what if that entire way of thinking is completely wrong? Today, we're going to dig into a world famous method that flips all of that logic right on its head.
And it all starts with this instruction right here, which, let's be honest, sounds completely insane, right? Keep smoking. This is literally the first thing the author tells you to do. It's such a bold, weird command that you can't help but wonder what on earth is going on here.
But believe it or not, there is some powerful, powerful logic behind this. It's not just a gimmick, it's actually the very first step in a huge psychological shift, one that's designed to make quitting not just possible, but maybe even easy. So let's unpack how this totally backwards sounding approach is supposed to work. Okay, so let's start with that very strange instruction. Why in the world would a method for quitting smoking demand that you keep on smoking?
Well, the thinking here is actually pretty fascinating. The argument is that as long as you believe you're addicted, the sheer panic of not having a cigarette makes it impossible to relax or really concentrate on anything. So by telling you to keep smoking, the method gets rid of that panic. It lets you breathe so your mind can actually be open and ready to absorb what's coming next.
So, with that sense of panic out of the way, we can finally look at why you might have tried and failed before. And this is huge. The author is very clear that it's not a failure of your character, it's a failure of the method you were using. And they pinpoint two big reasons this happens. The first one is pretty simple: not actually following the instructions. Trying to cut down on your own or using other nicotine products, which this method says is a huge no-no. But the second and much deeper reason is a failure to truly understand what the trap is in the first place. And this gets to the absolute heart of the challenge. Failure to understand means you have to question everything, not just what you're being told in the book, but all the stuff society has told you about smoking. And, this is the big one, all the reasons and excuses you've been telling yourself for years. Now, that idea of failing to understand becomes super important when we look at the way most people try to quit. We can call it the willpower method. And this book basically argues that it's designed from the ground up to fail. I mean, does this sound familiar at all? You decide you're going to quit, and boom, it feels like you're trying to climb Mount Everest. Every single day is a battle. You spend weeks just craving a cigarette, and you might even find yourself looking at people who are still smoking, not with pity, but with envy. It's a total mindset of deprivation.
So let's put these two methods side by side. The normal way, the willpower method, is all about sacrifice. You feel like you're giving up something really important, which just makes you want it more. The easy method, though, does the opposite. It wants to get rid of that feeling of sacrifice completely by focusing on understanding, so you can finally see smoking for what it really is.
So, here's the bottom line. The old willpower way fails for three big reasons. First, that feeling of sacrifice we just talked about. Second, and this is wild, health warnings often backfire. They make you nervous, and what's the first thing a smoker does when they get nervous? They reach for a cigarette. And third, it has you asking all the wrong questions, which blinds you to the real problem.
Okay, so this leads us to a massive shift in thinking. If the old questions just lead to failure, then we've got to start asking some brand new ones. And this right here is the absolute core of the whole method. The entire idea is to just temporarily forget all the reasons you want to quit, your health, the money, all of it, and instead turn your attention inward and ask some really simple, basic questions about why you're smoking in the first place.
So the first question is this: what is this cigarette actually doing for me? Not what you think it does, not what you've been told it does. Right now, in this moment, as you light up, what real, tangible benefit are you getting from it?
And the second question, man, it cuts even deeper. Do I actually enjoy it? And you have to be really honest here. We say we enjoy a cigarette, but is that physical feeling, the taste, that smell, that hot smoke going into your lungs, is it genuinely a pleasant experience? Or is it something else entirely?
And finally, the third question gets right to the heart of it all. Do I really need to spend the rest of my life paying a fortune just to stick these things in my mouth and basically suffocate myself? Is this something I really want to do? You see, by asking these simple questions, by really observing yourself as you continue to smoke, you are led, according to the source, to one single, totally liberating conclusion.
And there it is. The beautiful truth. That cigarette isn't giving you a single thing. It's not a real pleasure, it's not a crutch, it's not your friend. It does absolutely nothing for you.
And let's be crystal clear on this. The claim isn't just that the cons outweigh the pros. The whole point is that there are no pros. Zero. Nada. The idea that it helps with pleasure or stress or concentration, it's all just an illusion created by the addiction itself.
And once you really see that illusion for what it is, quitting is no longer a sacrifice. You're not giving up a single thing. Instead, you are gaining everything back. Better health, more money, yeah, of course, but also freedom from that slavery, more confidence, and funny enough, way less stress, because you're no longer feeding a constant nagging addiction.
So the whole method really just comes down to this one powerful reframe. Stop looking at quitting as some painful loss and start seeing it as a joyful gain. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. What if quitting isn't about losing something, but about gaining absolutely everything?